My biggest win with the journey has been that inner peace and just that fundamental knowing that I've got full purpose and a great deal more happiness.
That was amazing for me, and actually for my whole family. Allowed us to keep this open mind on life and to open to all the opportunities.
I have so much more freedom and self-connection and health and vibrancy. I just feel more alive.
The journey helped me to understand what my emotions are, not to be scared of them.
It changed my life. It cleared all blocks and brought into my consciousness what my heart's desire was.
Now I feel my life is easier. I feel stronger, feel what I feel and find a new solution.
To be free from the burden on my shoulders. I live in the moment now, and I'm open to my emotions from the highest to the lowest.
Until the journey, I didn't really know that I could get to the same depth without using any substance. It's getting easier and easier to connect to the deepest part of myself.
Probably the biggest improvement is my inner life or my inner freedom to be as myself, in myself, not being a victim of circumstances and the other people.
The journey has really been a second chance in life for me. Having permission to dive deep and find out who the real authentic me was and just to be that person has just been wonderful.
When you listen to yourself and when you really touch your soul, something magical happens.
Life is different because of the journey. I feel I have all the tools I need to face whatever life throws at me. Life has become fun.
My biggest win was healing a broken heart, and not once, many times. I would never have been able to be in the position that I am in now had it not been for the journey.
Befriending myself in really accepting who I am, that I am perfectly imperfect and I don't need fixing.
I've gained so much. So there is no one big win. If it had to be named as one thing, I would just say it's life-changing.
It's changed my world, it's changed my life, it's changed me. And it's allowed me to be open and vulnerable and completely transparent.
My biggest win since attending the Journey Intensive has been finding myself. It has been healing, transforming.
I am just so much more receptive and open to whatever God has planned for me. At the very core of me, being able to experience that peace has been priceless.
A wonderful good evening, good day. Welcome wherever you are calling in from. Even good morning, because I saw somebody saying hello from Australia as well. So first of all, thank you very much for the many hellos from all across Europe, from Australia. And my name is Gabby Burt. I'm International Director for The Journey and have been with Brandon and The Journey for 28 years. So it's been an incredible, enriching and beautiful journey alongside Brandon to witness and see the many life transformations. And we have a beautiful opportunity today to uncover the root causes of anxiety, of stress, of burnout, of worry, all the ways we kind of get scared about things. And Brandon is helping us to uncover of how to get to the root cause and how to let it go, or the possibility that we can do that. And also thank you very, very much for the many responses we had. What brings you here? So I really want to first of all express a heartfelt thank you to everyone. And I also wanted to say that we have, at the end of this session, we have a prize draw and we are offering a free place for Journey Intensive. So for anyone who stays here until the end, Brandon is live with us today. So it should be a beautiful session where we get to introspect, where we can actually get to experience some of the work on ourselves. And so that is happening in the next hour, and at the end of it we will offer a free place for the Journey Intensive, which is a 2-day event where we really kind of roll up the sleeves, dive in and kind of find a beautiful way of letting go and clearing these issues from ourselves, from our beings. but Brandon will explain all of that perfectly wonderfully. And I see you at the end again to speak some more, because we have a really beautiful special offer for everyone as well. And I will share all of that at the end of the session, or towards the end of the session. So first of all, welcome, Brandon, so much. And thank you so much for being here with us tonight, or today, because we don't know where in the world people are and what time it is for them. Thank you.
And a heartfelt namaste from me. And thank you, Gabby. And I just want to say I was deeply moved by the challenges that you've been facing, the things that are causing stress in your life. And there were some big, strong challenges that many of you spoke about. And it's natural that we think that it's the external circumstance that is causing this underlying stress, this anxiety, this fear response inside of us. And yet I'm going to suggest a very unexpected thing here, that even as wild as our external circumstances may be, there's actually an emotional root cause, and a deeply buried emotional root cause, why that circumstance is bothering you in that way. And some of you were talking about what many of us would feel was very stressful. You were speaking about having to take care of aged parents, never having time for yourself. And another woman was sharing about cancer, and a few of you about cancer, and living with that kind of prognosis, and having long COVID and autoimmune disease. And still others of you were speaking about just a feeling of being exhausted all the time, burnt out, a constant state of low-level depression where you felt numb and just unable to experience any of the juice of life. Still others of you were sharing about how you're on high alert all the time. It's like you're waiting for something to happen. And so there's a constant state of alert fear happening underneath it all. And so many different and varied mental, emotional, and physical circumstances, death in a family, and divorce, and loss of a loved one, and all of these external circumstances, of course, are extremely challenging. And yet, in my world, I do not experience them to be the cause of this stress. That instead there's something deeper that is the cause of it. And it really came home to me one time when I met a woman. She was 39 years old, and she was pregnant, looking radiant and joyous, almost blissful, with her 17th child. And I looked at her and I asked her, because she looked so joyous and radiant, and I didn't know in myself how I could have 17 children by the time I was 39 years old and not be freaked out, stressed out. And she said, "Oh, I love having children. I love the chaos. I love the mayhem. I love all the ups and downs, the whole roller coaster of having the children. It's my greatest passion in life." And I could see that it was. And yet I've met, other women who may only have one child and they're ready to pull their hair out. And so I could see that even though from the outside looking in, I looked at that situation, thought I'd be stressed out of my mind. And yet it's not the external circumstances that's creating the stress. The stress is already buried inside. And then what happens is life triggers our button. It can be something simple like you're on the superhighway and you're going at speed and everyone's going along at the speed they should be going, and someone just cuts you off, and out of nowhere comes up this road rage. Well, that person didn't come in the middle of the night and stick the rage there. That rage was already there. All that happened is they pushed your buttons, they triggered you, and up came the rage. So why would this be the case? Science has an explanation for it. Science will tell you when you feel a strong, stressful, fearful, raging emotion, and you shut it down, it actually releases into your bloodstream a quantifiable biochemistry, which will go to certain cell receptors, blocking them and rendering them incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. Now, if over time illness happens, well, of course, it happens where the cell receptors are blocked. And conversely, what's also known to be true is that when we feel our emotions very freely and openly, naturally, like a child does, our cell receptors stay open. But what happens? Let's say you're in an auto accident. What happens to you? You immediately freeze. You go into shock. And all that fear, that panic, all of it, you shut down. It's released into the bloodstream, creates that physical response of blocking the cell receptors. And then that trauma gets stored inside your cells. And when the next cell generation is born, the new cell generation, it's born with that same programming of that programmed in trauma, that fear, that panic, we're going to lose your life. What about the other person? It all happened at once and you shut down. It got stored inside your cells. Now, it doesn't take a trauma of that significance for this freezing to happen, for your body to shut down. It can be something simple, like you're at work and your boss criticizes you for something and is quite cold and sharp with it. And you freeze. And it's almost like you're paralyzed and can't say anything. Biochemistry is released, goes to the cell receptors. It gets stored inside there. Then when the next cell generation comes, that same fear of being criticized, not being good enough, feeling like you might lose your job, it gets passed on to the next cell generation. And this goes on your whole life long. Now, what happened for me and many of you already may know my story, that at the age of 39 years old, I was diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor. And when I got in to see the medical doctor, of course, she sat me down after the whole scans and everything we went through. And she said, Brandon, this probably started as one cell when you were somewhere around 8 years old, which then replicated. And then towards the end, when I was 39 years old, the cells were replicating exponentially and very aggressively. And my stomach just started growing. And of course, by the time I got to her, I was diagnosed with this massive tumor. And so that is how these traumas, these emotional issues get stored inside of our body, and that gets passed on through time. And so then something's taken place in your life where there's huge rage at something that's happened. Maybe you were out of control. Someone tried to hurt you. You got rage. And then that person cuts you off while you're driving and pushes your button, and vroom, up comes the rage. Now, I knew all this when I had the tumor, and there was so much research at that time in 1992 going on in the field of cellular healing and how our emotions are getting stored inside the body. As a matter of fact, on the CDC's website, it says that 85% of all illness has an emotional corollary, an emotional basis. And the reason it can say that is because of all the work going on in the field of cellular healing. And so I could remember I just left the doctor's office, having gotten this horrible prognosis, where she said I needed to get in the hospital today. We needed to find out, was it malignant or benign, but it wasn't going to make a difference. I was going to have it surgically removed because I was bleeding internally, and that wasn't my monthly period, and that it was an urgent situation. And I told her that I had been trained in so many areas of all complementary medicine as a kinesiologist, a master herbalist, NLP, medical hypnosis, an iridologist, in so many different areas, nutrition and everything. And I asked to be given a shot, just to be given a space of time to give it a shot to see if I could heal myself naturally. And she said to me, Brandon, you came to me because I practice integrative medicine. And if you know, next to this clinic, we do cleanses with people, we do guided visualizations, we do yoga, we do acupuncture, we do all the things that you just mentioned that you're trained in. And she said, if I thought that you could go that route, that's the first route I would prescribe for you. But look at all these case studies behind you. There's not a single woman who's been diagnosed with a mass as large as yours who successfully healed yourself. So even though you may have the best intent, we need to get in the hospital today and have this checked out. Is it malignant or is it benign? Ultimately, you're going to have it surgically removed. And so I talked with her for another half hour, and I got her to agree that if I could get the bleeding to stop through one of my techniques in the next 3 days, she'd give me 1 month. And I could remember I was walking outside her door, to give me 1 month to try to heal it naturally. And I was holding my best girlfriend's hand. And at this point, my heart's thumping through the roof and my mind's going a million miles a minute. And, I've just gotten this horrible diagnosis, and I stepped outside, and in front of me, there was a mimosa tree, a tree I hadn't even seen going into her offices. And when I looked up at the tree, it was like time just stopped. And I was completely riveted by the beauty of this tree. And my racing thinking mind, it just wound down. And as I looked at this tree with golden blossoms that looked like golden rain, and smelled a fragrance I hadn't even noticed going into her office, out of nowhere, waves of gratitude came. Gratitude just to see the color yellow. Gratitude to experience such beauty, gratitude to be allowed to breathe. And as time stopped in that moment of gratitude, a gut knowing arose. Somehow I would be guided to heal. And even though I didn't know how that would be, I was so grateful for all the research going on at this time in the field of cellular healing, and specifically Dr. Deepak Chopra, who was a chief surgeon general in a medical hospital in Boston, had decided that he was going to do a radical thing as a doctor. He was going to study people who had healed without drugs or surgery, who had healed naturally without any kind of medical intervention. And the reason this was so radical at the time was because even if you were in the complementary medical field, as I was, we were all trained to look at the symptoms, look at the result of those symptoms that finally led to death. So we were all looking at what caused death. But he said, we know enough about what caused death. I want to know what makes people heal. And what he discovered in thousands of case studies, he could find only 2 qualities that people who healed without drugs or surgery had in common. One was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to this that he called the infinite intelligence, the part of you that makes your heart beat, your eyes shine, and your hair grow. The second thing that he found that they had in common was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to those cell memories I was speaking about earlier. And if somehow they actually got access to the actual cell memory, that programming stored inside, and somehow released all the emotional issues that were stored there and the pain, etc., that when new cells were born, they were born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. Now, I'd seen the case studies. I understood all the science of how cells replicate. But unless you have a method, it's no more than a vision of possibility that you're seeing on a page. And yet part of my great gift of my own healing journey, where I healed in only 6.5 weeks' time, was I found a method for all of us in a very real way to get access to your own soul, to this vast field of love that is your essence, this infinite intelligence that you came in as. And I also found a means for all of us to be guided by that enlightened awareness on a journey inside your body to get access to the actual cell memories and to go through a deep process of releasing and letting go and understanding what took place for you, ultimately forgiveness, so that when the new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. And so the journey was initially born from my own experience in a very real physical way of healing from that massive tumor and experiencing cellular healing, emotional healing, mental healing, spiritual healing. So I was catapulted on a life-changing journey. And it's now work that's being used in hospitals and by medical doctors and by people from all walks of life, psychiatrists, psychologists, and teachers all around the world, to get to the emotional root cause of what is causing our surface anxiety, our surface stress, our surface behavior. And if I had to say, in a nutshell, what is the journey? The best way I could describe it is in a metaphor. That we are all of us born, and science will tell you this, as this vast field of awareness, a presence of love that permeates and saturates all of existence, a oneness where we feel connected with all of existence. As a matter of fact, science will tell you that when a newborn is born, and in the first hours, days, and weeks of its life, it feels itself to be this vast field to such a degree, this oneness, that when mother's hand comes before your eyes, you actually experience mother's hand as being part of yourself. But unfortunately, this radiant love, this shining awareness that is your essence, it gets covered over with a series of these shutdowns I talked about. Now, it can be something simple, like you're 3 years old and you're crying about something, and your mother says, come, we've got to dry your tears, and we've got to get to nursery school. And the little you gets it, oh, I'm not allowed to feel. At least not those emotions that have the tears. And the first involuntary shutdown happens. Or I can remember I was about 8 years old and we had a household that was full of domestic violence. And part of the way I used to escape was into my children's books. And if you loved reading as much as I loved it, well, I, of course, became a good reader and a good speller. And I was chosen for a spelling bee from our elementary school. And it was happening for all the schools in the county. And we all gathered together in a stadium. And the teachers, the students, all the parents, all gathered together. And I was representing our school for the third graders. And they were going right up through the grades up to high school. And I'd already spelled 3 difficult words on stage. And I'll never forget this moment. I'm standing there on stage and they give me one of the easiest words in the English language, the word fleet. But I'd never seen the word fleet in any of my children's books. But I had seen the word flea, a little insect. And I said, F-L-E-A-T. And the whole audience was hushed. And then it erupted into laughter. No one had given me a manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation in front of all your friends and the parents and the teachers? And I looked to my mom, who was sitting in the 3rd row, for support. And I looked to her and she just looked at me as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life and just shook her head and went, and it was like this wall just came slamming down inside of me. I went to go sit to the back of the stage with the other losers. And that day I decided I'm just so stupid. People will only ever laugh at me. I'll never be good at anything I do. I'll never succeed. I'm just a laughing stock. And it's like this, layer upon layer of these shutdowns. Now, when we get to be adults, we've all learned, it doesn't matter any of the 39 countries that we've traveled to with the journey, and it's now translated in 22 languages. But no matter what country I go to, we've all learned how to put on this mask as an adult, this polished veneer that says, no, I'm responsible, I'm reliable, you can count on me. And then we wonder why it is. Everyone thinks we're so full of, and you can finish that sentence. And then if you get to be very lucky, life gives you a wake-up call. Now, these wake-up calls, they come in so many forms. They can come in the form of a pandemic shutdown or in getting long COVID. They can come in the form of a loss of a loved one or having to take care of parents or losing your job. They can come in so many different forms where for one moment you decide it's time. And you crack through this polished veneer that you're presenting to the world. And spontaneously, you end up opening down through the layers of the pain, the lies, the shutdowns, the limitations, the negative beliefs, the traumas. And eventually, you open into this vast field of love, of peace, freedom that is your essence, that is your soul. And you realize it's been there all along. Only like me, you bought into all the layers that covered it. And if you're very lucky, you end up falling so in love with yourself, with the soul, with that peace, that joy, that freedom, that you will do anything to clear whatever blocks you, whatever shuts you down, whatever depression's here, whatever lids you've put over your life, so that this love that is your essence, this peace that is inside, can live your life. And so in a metaphor, what is the journey about? It's about getting real. It's about cracking through this veneer, opening down through the layers and into that infinite intelligence, that part of you that made your heart beat and makes your eyes shine and your hair grow. And at that deepest level, the level of soul, you are guided inside the body to specific cellular locations where these old buried cell memories are, these old traumas, these old emotional issues are buried. And you go through a deep process, a gentle but very profound process of recognizing what's happened to you in your life, understanding it, releasing all the pain, all the words, the unspoken, And finally, this leads you to a deep place of acceptance and forgiveness, so that when the new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old programming as new regenerative cells. And that is what the journey is really all about. So when we look at our external stress that is currently going on in our life, I'd love for you to do just a little experiment right now, where you'll get a chance to begin to just kind of take a toe dip and to begin to uncover some of what's deeper inside yourself that's causing a stress response. So since so many of 70% of you wrote in about having anxiety or stress, I'd like you to go to a moment in the last week, last months, just to let your awareness cast back over the last 6 months. And there must have been a time that you responded, had a stressful response to something that happened in your life. It can be someone said something and you froze, or in response, you lashed out in an angry response back, or it can be something that took place where a job was taken away or a loved one broke up and didn't want to see you anymore, where for a moment you froze. And then you may, instead of just freezing, you may have withdrawn. And we have so many different stress responses where we can have an emotional lashing out, we can have a shutdown, we can freeze and then withdraw. We can just kind of get to a point where we can't even speak. And so I just want you to try a little, almost a divine experiment here, and just take a moment and close your eyes and cast your awareness back over the last days, weeks, and months to a time where you had a stressed response, where you either lashed out or freaked out or shut down or withdrew or felt paralyzed, incapable of doing anything, freezing. Go back to that specific moment where you reacted. And for this moment, just step into that picture and feel what it felt like in your body to react, whether you either lashed out or got hurt and shut down and withdrew or froze. What did that feel like? Just go right into the moment of your stressed reaction. And now roll the cameras back to that millisecond before you reacted in a stressful way, to that impulse to react. And then roll the cameras back to the moment before the impulse to react was there, and open up and kind of let stretch time a bit and just allow yourself to feel what you were really feeling before the impulse to react was there. So you go from the reaction back to that drive to react, back to the moment right before the impulse to react, and just open up. And just what were you feeling at that time? Just even if you're not sure, what do you have a sense you might have been feeling at that time? And just welcome that feeling, and then asking if there were an even deeper feeling, a deeper emotion underneath that feeling, deeper even than that more surface emotion. If there were a deeper emotion, what might that feeling be? And just letting that arise and allow that to be felt. And even if you're not sure what it is, Just whisper out loud into your room what you sense this feeling is. Taking a nice deep breath in, letting it out, and opening the eyes. Opening your eyes. And this was just a tiny, tiny taste that there's the reaction, which is actually a behavioral response, a stress reaction. There's the impulse to react in that way. And prior to that is a feeling that you were feeling. And if you even go deeper, you will find that there are deeper and deeper and deeper layers of what was driving that stressful reaction. Now, we can't go through a full journey process here. That's actually a 2-day immersive retreat to go learn the full journey work and how to do physical journeys and emotional journeys and all of that. It's a very experiential retreat. But I still want you to begin the baby steps towards befriending your body and beginning to listen to what your body's trying to tell you, to listen to the emotions that are here, to kind of welcome them, to allow them, to begin to really befriend your bodies, to really be present to what's here inside of you. Because this stressful response, that's just a fearful response born from something much deeper inside the body. So if you'd like to join me, I'd love to take you into something that I call the gentle welcome, where we're going to go inside the body and begin letting the body softly reveal to us some of the emotional issues that are stored there. Now, this isn't the journey process. It's just a way for you to begin to learn how to be present and listen and feel with your body. So let's do this again as a divine experiment. And let's take a nice deep breath in, letting it out, and closing your eyes. Closing your eyes. And just for right now, taking a deep breath in of openness and breathing that into your room. And the willingness just to listen and be open with whatever the body wants to reveal. And the body will never give you something you're not ready to face. And so if you're not ready to face it, it'll only reveal that which you are ready to face. And so breathe this willingness to feel whatever it is that the body wishes to reveal. Breathe that into your room. And trust in yourself, in your soul's prayer, that it actually wants you to heal. It wants you to come home to yourself, to the soul, to this love, this peace, this joy that is your essence. So trusting yourself, breathing that trust into the room. And letting your heart be as wide as the world. Wide enough to welcome all the feelings that live inside of you. That's how vast this vast open sky of all acceptance is. And it's vast and spacious and free in front of you. Boundlessly spacious behind. Infinitely vast to all sides. And we're just resting here, soaking, steeping in this vast field of acceptance. And now turning your gaze inside the body. And you already don't know this, that the body is like this container full of all kinds of emotions. And you know, our feelings, they're like little kids. Some of our feelings are loud and attention-seeking. Others of your emotions are shy and kind of scared to come up. Still others of your feelings, they're like little kids who have been shut down and rejected so many times, they don't even bother coming up anymore. They just hide themselves behind closed doors and beneath lids. And so welcoming right now all the feelings that live inside of you. And you might even apologize that you've pushed them away so many times. And instead, say to your emotions and your feelings, to your body, today, I'm going to be present. I'm going to listen. I'm going to allow whatever wants to reveal itself to reveal what's here. And I'm really going to open with that and allow myself to feel. And so saying this to your body and your being. And now taking a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flooding your body with acceptance so that it knows that all acceptance is here. And locating right now in your body some part of you where there's a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or some sort of contraction going on. Locate that area right now. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flooding that area with acceptance. Letting it be softened and marinated and tenderized and open. And if this area had a feeling beginning to arise out of it, what might that feeling be? It might be quiet as a whisper. But if there were a feeling beginning to come out of this area as you flood it with your acceptance, what might that feeling be? Or if it could speak and it had words, give it a voice right now. And if it could speak, what would it say right now? And as you listen to the words, how do they make you feel emotionally? Just welcoming whatever's here and not here. Perhaps there's a picture showing up. If there is a picture, and there may or may not be, step into the picture. How are you feeling? Or perhaps it feels like this area is shut down or blocked in some way, like there's a lid over this area of the body. If there is a lid, and let's assume that there is, you know the way you peel a lid off a can of peanuts? Well, take hold of this lid right now and lift it off. What's hiding here? How does it make you feel emotionally? Welcoming whatever's here and also whatever's not here. And take a deep breath in of acceptance. Flooding the area with acceptance. And now come to neutral and finding a different area of your body where you may feel a little tension or stress or some sort of contraction. Go ahead and locate this area where something's held or hiding or contracted in some way, or it's tense. Locate that area right now. Take a deep breath in of acceptance. Flood that area with acceptance and let it be softened and opened and tenderized and marinated with acceptance. And if there were a feeling starting to arise out of this area, what might that feeling be? It may not be at all what you're expecting, but if there were a feeling here, what might it be? And if this area could speak and had words, what would it say right now? Give it a voice. Allow the words to arise. I'm scared coming up. But I don't know what you've got coming up. Or if there's some sort of lid over this area. If there is a lid, and let's assume there is, well, let's take hold of that lid and lift it off. What's hiding here? How does it make you feel emotionally? Welcoming whatever's here, whatever's not here, and taking a deep breath in of acceptance and flooding this area with acceptance, coming to neutral now, and finding yet a third area where there may be a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or some sort of contraction going on. Locate that area right now. Take a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flood the area with acceptance, letting it soften and be marinated, and tenderized and opened. And if there were a feeling starting to arise out of that area, what might that feeling be? Just welcoming whatever's here and not here. Or if this area could speak and had words, what would it say? Give it a voice. How does it make you feel emotionally? Welcoming whatever's here. Or if there's a picture, step into it. How does that make you feel? Or perhaps there's a door where you've shut the door on some emotion. If there is, take hold of the handle of that door and open the door. What's hiding there? How does it make you feel emotionally? Welcoming whatever's here, whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance and flooding the area with acceptance and coming to neutral. And then if it feels appropriate, you might like to tell your body that you're going to begin this journey of listening to yourself, welcoming and allowing emotions to come, and being present to them, and just bathe them in acceptance. Take a nice deep breath in, letting it out. And once again, the heart is as wide as the world, a vast field of all acceptance. Infinite and spacious in front, boundless behind, infinite to all sides. So that eyes open or eyes closed, same. Taking another nice deep breath in. And sighing it out and opening your eyes. And just taking another deep breath in and opening your eyes. You know, this journey with our bodies is a journey not just with our emotions, but with our soul. And perhaps you began to uncover a little bit, a tiny baby step, a taste of what's there stored inside your body. You know, I've been doing this work for 30 years, and before COVID, I was traveling for 44 weeks of the year in a different country every week. And every time before I gave the Journey Intensive, I went and had a journey process done. I never wanted to be so arrogant as to say I've got it all handled. I know there's more than one issue stored here. And I feel it's a huge gift and blessing in my life to clear whatever blocks me, whatever holds me back, whatever shuts me down on any level of being, so that this radiant presence that is our essence, this love, this peace, this joy that is your essence, can live your life. And so I'm wanting to ask if you'd be willing to write into the chat box some of the feelings that might have arisen for you. Some of you may have just done a little toe dip and touched an emotion. Others of you may have really uncovered much deeper issues. And so just if you'll be willing to write that in a chat box. And some of these deeper emotional issues is what is actually the root of what's causing the stress in your life. You know, circumstances contribute, but ultimately, these issues that are stored inside of our bodies are the root of what's causing the stressing anxiety. So if you'd be willing to write some of the emotions, and Gabby, if you'd be willing to share out loud some of the emotions that came up for people, so that we can all begin to be aware of all the kinds of feelings that arise inside of us.
Sure, thank you, Brandon. I will, and I'm just waiting. I think people are still in with such a beautiful, deep meditation.
Yeah.
Emotional by feeling stuck in my life, somebody said. Deep emotional pain from events in the past. Hopelessness after so much work on myself and spent all my money on it. Felt a very deep issue rooted in my childhood when I was bullied so often, so losing my job gave rise to this feeling. Sadness, fear, somebody said. Fear, anger, resignation. A lot of anger and shock came up. Deep sadness, fear, and feeling unsafe.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had a tick bite, so now I'm anxious about Lyme disease because I've seen what this disease can do to people. Seems like a rational fear, but with these exercises I actually found some other emotions, like feelings of malicious destructiveness and unbearable pain.
Wow.
Not sure what it means yet. Sadness, more, fear, anger, lack of trust and hurt because I didn't take care of myself. A lot of anger and betrayal, horror, a massive blocked feeling, it cleared with the acceptance, fear of coming out, not knowing how, great grief, fear in another place, sadness, lack of trust, panic attacks. So still
Yes.
coming in.
Wow, wow, wow. So those are some very deep issues. You know, this fear of malicious attack that someone shared. You know, some of the issues we have inside of us aren't even our own. They're passed down generationally from our parents. And what the field of epigenetics has found is that when for between 4 and 6 generations, so the parents, grandparents, and the great-grandparents and so on before us, if they experienced extreme trauma, that gets passed on through the DNA. So it's not just physical traits that gets passed on, but emotional pain gets passed on. And so you may look at why a tick bite would elicit a response of feeling like there's maliciousness out there going to attack. And it may not even be from your life circumstances. It may have come in with you through your DNA. And so the good news is with the journey, we have the ability to not only get through the things stored in our DNA, the generational issues, but from this life, the issues that we have triggered in ourselves and then shut down with. And what I really pray for everyone here is that something brought you here. And it wasn't me. And it wasn't the internet. It was a deeper calling from within yourself that it's time to come home to that peace within, to the divine potential inside yourself, to the love that is your essence, that an enlightened awareness that you actually came in as. And it's time not only to live from this essence, but to clear whatever lampshades you've put over it, whatever blocks, whatever shutdowns, whatever emotional patterns are here, so that this love that is yourself can live your life. And so I pray for your sake that you will respond to that call home. I ended up having to have a huge life-threatening wake-up call before I finally listened to that call. And my prayer is you don't have to have that happen, that you don't wait for it to manifest as illness or death or disease or whatever is down the line, that you give yourselves your wake-up call now. Something speaking to you with this amount of surface anxiety, stress, fear, happening, depression, is a signal that your body's trying to say it's time to free yourself. And so I pray you listen to that. And thankfully, Gabby will be able to share with you upcoming ways that we have the Journey Intensive and what takes place there and where it's taking place around the world, so that you can really, in a very real way, not just in a little taste, but really learn the skills. And I'll be teaching those skills, and then you'll be undergoing guided introspections, meditations, and then the journey process work, where you will be undergoing one-to-one process work each day with another student. And you will have a huge embrace from our journey practitioners, these self-same practitioners who give me my journey processes that I'm still getting 30 years on. And so they're there to hold an incredible embrace. So if anything comes up for you that you feel you're not sure about, they're there to jump in. And these practitioners are deeply and highly experienced. And so you'll have a profoundly experiential weekend. And it's my prayer that you not only learn the journey process and experience it, and yes, of course, you'll feel washed clean and whole and free. But my prayer is that you'll take this toolbox that you're given and you'll take it into your life and you help your children take the lampshade off their light. You help your friends, your family, your parents, that you help one another to clear whatever's blocking us in life so that this radiant presence that is yourself can live your life. So I'll turn you over to Gabby, and she can share some more, and of course do that lottery where one of you will earn a place. And I pray I will see you again and again online. Until then, a heartfelt namaste.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brandon, for this beautiful introspection. And I'm always blown away how people access such a deep emotional level of some of the things that may have already been there for a long time. And I know that some of the people here actually joined us a little bit late. But thank you everybody for coming in, and most of you were able to participate in the full meditation and uncovering. So I'm just going to do the draw for the free place for the Journey Intensive very, very shortly. And I also just, when I say the free draw for the Journey Intensive, I thought I'd just give you a quick idea of what the Journey Intensive actually is. And it is a 2-day event that takes place at different dates in different time zones. And at this event, we undergo a process where we're uncovering these emotional layers and opening to this infinite presence, this profound presence of self. So some people call it enlightenment, some people call it love and light or universal love, but that is actually a process that we undergo. And then we kind of shine the light on some of the issues that we may have buried a long, long time ago. And all of that takes place in just 2 days. It's a profound, transformational 2-day workshop, and we're actually adding a third bonus day to it, because sometimes you'll see 2 days and there's 3 dates. So why does that happen? So that's in a very quick way the Journey Intensive. And our winner for today is, and I'm going to announce the winner, and then I'm also going to share the bonus, the very, very special offer that we're having, which I spoke earlier on. And I'm just going to share a slide with you of the dates that we have. And when we say different time zones, that means we have an event in Europe, actually 2 events in Europe, one in June, one in July, because one is midweek. The first one in June is midweek. The July one is a weekend one, and Australasia is in July, and then the North America one is in October. And for the first 20 registrants, we have a very, very special offer where we get 150 euros off. Let me come back to that, and I'll announce the winner first, and then I'll walk you through this. And this is a random draw, actually. It's I do that with our team in the background. People who've been here from the beginning, and some of the shares that have come out, and then we kind of do a little draw out of a hat. But for today, the winner of the Free Journey Intensive place is Marja Rogic, RAGIC. So Marja, you will be receiving an email from us from support@thejourney.com, and congratulations. And I really, really look forward to hopefully meeting you either in June or in July. These are the dates here on the European time zone. I think you're from, I'm not quite sure where you're from, Marja, but if you can do the European ones, those are the next 2 dates we have. And the event takes place fully online, so you can take the events in the comfort of your own home, and you'll have a front row seat with Brandon. You'll be there with her teaching sessions. I will take you through the actual event. We do some Q&A sessions. We do processing with each other. We have, as Brandon said, we have journey practitioner support. You know, you can do all of this stuff at home on your own, but how many times would you have the opportunity to actually have a journey practitioner when you get stuck? And that is such an amazing gift. And these guys have had such a profound transformation in their life. That's a voluntary situation. They coming to volunteer here at these events. Sorry, I've just gone blue here. And so the very, very special offer for the very first 20 registrations is to receive 150 euros off of the normal price of 297. So it's half price. Then you get the Brandon's book, The Journey, A Practical Guide to Healing Your Life. You also get a book that Brandon has co-written with her husband, Light in the Heart of Darkness. And it's how Brandon's husband has actually healed from depression with just one journey process. Profound story and a lot of great examples, a lot of process work of how we can kind of dive underneath the issue of depression, which is so prevalent in a huge percentage of our population. And you'll also be getting a meditation, a healing breath meditation, which is guided by Brandon, all for free, included with this very special offer. And this offer is only available until tomorrow midnight. So if there was something in here today that drew you, that kind of touched your heart, I can highly recommend it. It changed my life. The first 2 days absolutely changed my life. It felt like somebody turned a light switch on the inside of me. I was constantly looking for solutions on the outside, never found them. But the inside, I had everything inside of me. I've been with Brandon since 1996, and it's still the most profound healing method that I know of since that time. So I've trained in other modalities, but the journey is really, sorry, I'm just not very good at this sharing thing. So these are the dates here. The very special offer is on until tomorrow midnight. And whilst you've been here at this event, at this webinar with Brandon, you actually received an email which is in your inbox already when you finish off. I think that was all I needed to tell you. So you've got the 2 books, you've got a meditation with Brandon, you've got half price offer, everything, and the meditation with Brandon, all until tomorrow midnight. So I can only just say, throw yourself in, roll up your sleeve and dive in and let go of the issues that may have been with you for such a long time. I've seen it hundreds and hundreds or thousands of times at seminars that I've accompanied Brandon with over the years. And the transformation that is possible is blow away. You heard some of the people speak at the beginning. All of these people have done the journey and stayed with the journey and used it in their life, because no matter what life throws at us, we have a tool that we can use over and over, in everyday life. This process is something that stays with you. And as I said earlier, it says 2 days that will change your life, but here are 3 days. The 3rd day is a bonus day. And I think usually about 80% of the people stay on. Sometimes it's difficult for everybody to stay on the 3rd day, but you can also take it in your own times. We do have recordings of the teachings, and then we come together and swap and exchange. So whatever you can do, if it's just the Saturday, Sunday, or the Tuesday, Wednesday, day 1 and 2 is fine. And we'd love it if you stayed for the 3rd day. So whatever works is best. And here again, our bonus for the registrations. An email will be in your inbox. You can also get a replay with, we actually transmit it automatically into Facebook community and into YouTube. So the replay is there. And if anybody has any questions at all, please get in touch with us, support@thejourney.com. We also have a call situation if you want to talk to one of our practitioners because you're not quite clear. We have that offer as well, but just shoot us an email and let us know and get in touch with us. So thank you once again so much for joining us tonight or this morning. For those of you who came in from Australia, we had some guests from America too, and really covered We spanned the world tonight. So thank you once again for your beautiful participation. I hope you really got it, that these emotional blocks that we carried for such a long time can be undone. They can be cleared. And that in the heart of the most terrible emotions that we're scared of, that we run away from, the anger, the fear, the terror, the worthlessness, not good enough, all of that stuff, or humiliation, whatever it is, there are some emotions we do anything to not feel. And so, but to just hear it, and hopefully you heard it from Brandon, that in the heart of each and every emotion is this infinite field of all possibility, this infinite field of self, of presence, of a presence of love. And you are that, and that is what you access on day one. And day two, we uncover some of the cell memories we weren't able to clear as and when they happened. Most often it goes back to childhood. And then the emotion that we think are because of what happens today, because I'm stressed because my daughter or my son or my husband or somebody did something or didn't succeed in that, or I didn't. We give everything a reason, and sometimes it goes way back. And when we clear this old issue from our cellular structure, then all possibility becomes available. And so that's there for each and every one here. And so I can only invite you and encourage you to take that step. And it couldn't be easier. It couldn't be easier. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it from home. And it's like you saw Brandon here. She's going to be right there with you. I'm going to be there with you. We have journey practitioners to support you, to help you. And come and join us. That's all I can say. If you are looking for transformation, if you had enough of what's been going on for you in your life, then throw yourself in. It's 147 euros. So sometimes, it's very quickly spent, and you get life transformation here. So what could be better than that? I hope I've said enough. And we hear a few more of those beautiful journey people speak about their life changes, their life transformations as we finish this event this evening. Thank you with all my heart for joining us, and I hope I'll see you in one of the upcoming events. Thank you and namaste.
My biggest win with the journey was being able to access my deepest emotions and free myself from them. I feel more calm and serene.
I found my true calling, and now today I can help others. I love to make an impact. I love to see transformation in others' lives.
For years and years, I used to feel very lonely, and now I just feel a part of everything. I feel I'm alive.
My biggest win with joining the practitioner program is owning my own life back and stepping out of a severe PTSD.
The acceptance of myself and the self-love, so I don't need others to love me. That's perfectly okay.
Life is different now because of joining the journey, because I just live in so much abundance. I get up every day with a joy for living. I want to go to work. I want to meet other people.
My biggest win was the really deep knowing I actually do have the answers. They are within me.
There is a lot more certainty and openness into where I'm heading and how I'm feeling about things.
I feel more connected to life. It's not an easy path for anyone to do healing work, but it's profound.
One, I'm more balanced. Two, I'm more grateful for those persons who helped me in this life. I enrich my life every day with this wisdom.
It's priceless. There's no better, bigger investment we can do in time, money, or energy.
I was a mess before I started with this work, and I healed from lots of different types of abuse, and that's a miracle.
My life now, because of the journey, is transformed. I have confidence. Even if I struggle. It's just I have to let go. It's step after step, and it's no danger at the end.
My biggest win is myself. It doesn't have to be anything else. You can be fulfilled even if you only have yourself.
It's more peaceful. I've learned to process emotions. I learned to be more self-aware, and I've learned when you need to ask for help.
I've been able to have a really deep, long, soulful look at myself, and I've been able to uncover, recover, and heal long-term wounds.
My biggest win being a journey practitioner has been becoming a therapist and a healer, because that's what I never ever imagined it to be.
I'm living from a place of freedom and choice. I'm really conscious in every moment. Any sentence I say, it's coming from just pure goodness.
I feel more authentic, wearing much less of a mask. It's about being you and feeling good about it.
I can embrace all that is. I'm here to share my life, my joy. Now I can just be me.
My own journey of healing from cancer is an inspiration for others. I get to work with amazing people, see amazing transformations in their life.
My biggest win is to be yourself. Just be there for other people, to help other people heal, and just to be there.
I know that no matter what comes, I have the right instrument to deal with whatever emotions every situation will bring to me.
It really has helped me come back to a place of wholeness. I feel like completely authentic. I feel genuine. I feel like I'm in my body.
My big win is my courage and my physical healing, my emotional healing. But in one word, I could say freedom.
The journey is all about releasing all of the emotions that create the illness. I was healed physically within 6 weeks, while I had been in pain over 3.5 years.